Welcome back to the Empire Builders podcast. I'm Dave Young. That's Steve Semple whispering in your other ear. And on today's episode of the
Brought to
Empire
you in
Builders,
live stereo.
we knew that it would only be a matter of time, having so recently discussed the Lowe's empire, that we
Yep.
would be discussing Home Depot, and today is that day.
Today is that day because really there's a pretty shared DNA there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, and again, like I always think, well, okay, started as a little hardware store, and then somebody grew it into a big hardware store, and then they made a bunch more.
It's kinda a little bit like that, except this
A
this
little
is a
bit?
little different.
Eh,
It's a little bit
okay, I always
different.
like a good twist.
There's
Let's
a little
hear
bit
it.
of a twist in this. So, it was founded in February 6th, 1978, Marietta, Georgia, by
Hmm.
Bernard Marcus, Arthur Blank, Ron Burrell, Pat Ferrara, and Ken Lagone.
So it
These
doesn't
guys
go
basically
near
got it
far as
started.
far back as Lowe's.
Yeah, Lowe's is a little bit earlier, but not much. Um, and today they have over 2,300 locations. They do like 160 billion in revenue with over 450,000 employees. So it's a big deal, and we
Mhm.
all know who the Home Depot is, right? Like we've all pretty much
Yep.
heard of it. Now, a couple of the guys got basically fired from a hardware store in the West Coast called Handy Dan.
Handy
And
Dan.
it wasn't
Okay.
really all that big, and it was kinda one stop, but here's why they got fired. They kept pestering management saying, "You need to go larger, then you need to go national." And they basically management got tired of listening to that and fired them.
Okay.
So I told you there was a little twist.
Okay.
So when they left, they called one of Handy Dan's investors, Ken Lagone, and said, "Here's what we wanna do. We wanna make a 100,000 square foot hardware store, stock everything, make it cheaper, and make it more like a wholesaler. That's what we wanna do." And they drew their inspiration from Walmart. They were looking at what Walmart was doing. They said, "We wanna do the Walmart thing for hardware and building." And Ken was like, "Great, let's do it." And they drew up a plan that basically said they needed $25 million to get going, and they had to settle on raising 3.5 million. So this is important to keep in mind because it shapes a couple of things that they do. And so the first thing that they needed to do, and they had a guy, Pat Ferrara, join them for merchandising. The first thing that they needed to do was create a name for the company. Now, I don't know if you remember Crazy Eddie's in like the
Yeah,
guy
New York
who
City. Yeah.
New York City, where it was like he was selling like electronics and all this other stuff, and so
I mean,
they
he's no Handy Dan.
he's no Handy Dan, but they were inspired by Crazy Eddie's, and what I found interesting is, in Toronto, around the same time, there was a furniture company that started that also was kinda inspired from it because it was Bad Boys.
Okay.
They would dress like in the black and white, retro, I'm a prisoner
Yeah.
uniforms, and they would be like, "Bad boys, anybody have a better price?" "Nobody." That was their slogan, right? But what these guys decided was they were gonna call it Bad Bernie's Build All.
Bad Bernie's Build All?
Bad Bernie's Build All. Yes. The investors didn't like it. That name did not
Of
go
course
forward.
they didn't like it.
Well, because it didn't have the name home and all those other things, so I said, "Okay, well,
I I just
let's
no,
call it the Home Depot."
look, I think look, Lowe's doesn't have the name home in it either, but
Yes.
it's not Bad Bernie's, what was it? Builders?
Build all.
Build All. I
Yes.
mean, it doesn't roll off the tongue. It kinda blurts
Yeah.
out of your mouth in a not great way. Yeah. I have to side with the investors on this one.
I have to say, I think even on this one, the investors were right. They're often not right, but I think on this one, they were
Yeah.
right. So they opened it in Atlanta, 60,000 square feet. Remember the little bit of a difference in terms of the money that they wanted to raise? They wanted to
Yeah,
raise 25,000,000 and only had 3.5 million.
yeah.
So it made a couple of things difficult, such as stocking 60,000 square feet full of merchandise.
Sure, that's a lot
So
of merchandise.
so to make it look full, they went out and they bought empty paint cans, thousands of empty paint cans and thousands of empty boxes and basically put them on the shelves.
Oh, boy.
And and they wanted to make it feel like a working warehouse, so they threw sawdust on the floor. So
Okay,
it's like
yeah.
sawdust on the floor, empty boxes, empty paint cans.
Just have one guy driving around with a forklift randomly. Just
They couldn't afford a lit sign, so they had to make it bright to stand out. So that's why they went with the orange. Now, here's
okay,
what's really
that makes
interesting.
sense.
Our client in Edmonton who sells used RVs has a location that's relatively close to the airport, so you can't do a lit sign. Jay Mystery, our designer, picked a very specific shade of orange because what we knew is the setting sun would hit it. And when the setting sun hits that sign, it looks like it's glowing. And then we got Rick to buy a spotlight. And Jay even said to him, spotlight has to have this specific criteria to it. And we put the spotlight onto it and it looks like it's glowing. There's cheap ways to make a sign look lit without lighting it. But anyway, that's why
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
orange.
shining a
That's why
light
they
on it is fine. Yeah.
Right, but that's why they went with the orange is like, we can't light it, it's gotta stand out. So they do launch day. Launch day does not go well. Like, literally, they had a newspaper ad that was supposed to run that didn't run, nobody showed up. They literally sent kids and family into the parking lot, like, literally to hand out dollar bills, "Come to the store." First year's a disaster. They lose $1,000,000 in the first year.
Here's what we know about hardware. When do we buy hardware? When we need it.
Yes, when we're fixing something. Yep.
When we're fixing something when we need it. I don't need
Yeah.
it today, but I don't know if I need it tomorrow because nothing's broken yet, and I don't have a project I'm working on. So you gotta kinda be patient in the hardware business, don't you?
Well, they also did something interesting to stimulate sales. So the
Okay.
first year they lose $1,000,000. And then they get this chance to buy fireplace accessories really cheap. Now think about this. It's the summertime, they're in the South, and there's these cheap fireplace accessories. They buy 4,000 of them, and they plan to sell them at just above the price and advertise it like crazy. Like, they're selling these things for, like, 37 bucks. And here's what's crazy. People travel from miles away to buy this stuff. And when they're
Okay.
there,
Yeah.
they're walking around and they buy other things. So the
An empty
original
can of paint.
history yeah, yeah, cans of paint.
A big
So
box.
the original history of Home Depot is they did all these flash sales. Flash sale, flash sale,
Yeah.
flash sale, okay? So in 1980, they do more sales, but one of the things they also do is they start hiring professional contractors and start running these clinics inside the store. So the whole idea is we're
I
gonna do a
remember
flash
that.
sale.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna do a flash sale to bring people in, and then people will maybe watch the clinic, and then they'll buy other stuff,
Learn how to do
right?
tiling or
Yeah.
yeah, all
So
that
it's
stuff.
it's 1985, they have 50 stores, Lowe's has 300 stores, and Lowe's secret shops them. Like, they start copying kind of each other, at this point,
Sure.
right? Now, Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, ends up becoming important in all this because Sam Walton calls them, and you're gonna love Sam's advice.
Stay tuned. We're going to wrap up this story and tell you how to apply this lesson to your business right after this.
Hey,
What?
shh, Steven created something new.
That's not surprising. Why are you being so quiet?
Well, not very many people know.
Really?
Yes, it's new and it's amazing.
Like tail wagging amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me.
Using storiestosell.com.
Okay.
It's a new free 90-minute session
Why?
because people have a hard time figuring out how to tell their business story.
Yeah, and?
This leverages Steven's TEDx talk on the 4 ingredients for telling a compelling story.
It's a great talk for sure, but how can...
Don't worry, you'll get help figuring out your story quickly and you'll have one you can use right away. You'll even learn where to use it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you can sign up at usingstoriestosell.com.
Wait, isn't our tea time coming up?
Oh, yeah, let's go.
You're away, Dave.
Let's pick up our story where we left off, and trust me, you haven't missed a thing.
Sam Walton calls them and says, "Guys, love what you're doing, but you need to shift your model." And you're gonna love Sam's advice because it speaks to what we do, right? Like, from the standpoint of running these sales, there's
Yeah.
a downside to running all these sales. And he said, "Get rid of the flash sales. Buy in bulk, keep everything as cheap as possible. If that's your dealio, low prices, don't do flash sales, Just do low prices, advertise that you got low prices on everything.
Yeah.
Go that way, and sales soar. So remember, Home Depot was 50 stores and Lowe's was 300 stores. By 1992, so that was 85. So 1992, 7 years later, after implementing Sam Walton's advice, Home Depot is doing 7 billion in sales and Lowe's is doing 4 billion. They blow
Wow.
past Lowe's, blow past them, and even started opening locations in the same location. Lowe's, like, basically never catches up. There was one point where every 53 hours, there was a Home Depot open.
That's a lot of cans of empty paint,
That's
empty
a
cans
lot
of paint.
of cans of empty paint. Yeah.
Do you know what I miss about Home Depot? I remember when they did the little seminars and things. I thought it was cool. I didn't ever take one.
Yeah.
From where I lived at the time, you had to drive 100 miles to get to Home Depot. But when you got there, you could always get, like, a sausage. Like, they always had somebody out front
Oh,
cooking
serve it doing food.
smoked sausage or something, right?
Yeah. I think it's a mistake that Home Depot has gotten away from that, but I do find interesting that what they recognized was when you do a flash sale, you're not making money on the flash sale. The flash sale is a loss leader to get people into
Yeah.
the store. Now that I've got you in the store, I need to do something. And so running those clinics and those things was a great way to get people further engaged, see them as being professional, and buy other things. Like, what I do like was Home Depot wasn't just flash sale, bring people in. There was a further leg to that stool. But what I
Yeah.
also love was Sam Walton saying, "Forget the flash sales. Just do
Yeah.
everyday low
Well,
prices."
it's an interesting distinction between having a flash sale and a loss leader that you don't advertise as a sale. You just say,
Right.
"Hey, screwdrivers are $1.99." That's not a
Correct.
sale price. That's the price of a screwdriver today.
Correct.
And
Correct.
then people go, "Oh, well, and maybe the screwdrivers cost you $4,
Yes.
right? But you advertise that screwdrivers are $1.99, and people that need screwdrivers also need screws and other size screwdrivers and, all kinds of other things, but it gives the impression that everything you buy in there is gonna be that kind of a price, but it's not, like you said, it's not a flash sale, it's just,
It's
"Here's
not a
the
flash
price of a
sale.
screwdriver."
Right.
And that was what Walton was so good at, right? You
Yes.
you
Very.
just you
Yeah.
he made Walmart become known for low prices, even though they weren't always the lowest price.
Well, that's exactly it, and that's what Sam's advice was. Sam's advice was the place that you wanna occupy in somebody's mind is you've got it, you've probably got a couple, and they're all a good price,
Yeah.
right, for your category, because then when you do that, you own the mind in that category.
Now here's what's interesting too. Did Sam Walton just call them up?
Yeah, he did.
And he wasn't an investor.
No.
He's just like, "Hey guys, here's how you're screwing us up."
"Okay, guys, here's how you."
That's pretty
That's
amazing.
That's the it might be a myth, but that's the story floating out there according to the folks from Home Depot is one day Sam called and said, "Hey, guys." Yeah.
Here's the other amazing thing is they took his advice because what I've found, you've found, all of us that do ad consulting work is, the advice you give somebody that you don't charge them for,
Kids often not
um,
take it.
it's often not they often won't don't do
It's true.
anything with it. If they do, then you're like, "Okay, well, I've got somebody I can work with."
Yeah.
Because often people look at it and go, "Well, shoot, you didn't charge me anything for that, so how valuable could that be?" I
Yes.
remember our friend Jeffrey Eisenberg, this is, shoot, 20 years ago, when someone would contact him for website consulting. He would get on the phone with them and they'd look at the site together, and he'd make them like 2 or 3 recommendations. "Here's what you need to fix right now,
Yeah.
and this other thing. These are easy fixes. Just have your web guy do this, this, and this, and, your website will convert a lot better." Um, and then, let me know if you wanna talk again. And if they didn't if they called him back, a few weeks later, like, "I wanna talk again," he's like, "Well, have you done the things I told you?" "No, 'cause, we're not." I'm like, "No, I'm not even talking to you if you don't do those things. Like, not
Yeah.
even doing it. Not having another conversation with you."
Yeah.
So, I love that Sam just called him up.
Well, and the other part about taking advice, because look, in marketing and business, everybody wants to give their advice. But when a guy like Sam Walton is giving you advice, you should listen.
You should.
I was joking the other day with a client of mine who's in Western Canada, and one of the self-made billionaires is a guy by the name of Jimmy Pattison. We were talking about advice, and I was like, "Yeah, if Jimmy Pattison ever calls and gives you some advice, like, take it."
Yeah.
Now, if, the guy who's just read a lot of books, gives you some advice,
Well,
maybe not,
and you know,
but, if Sam Walton calls, take it.
this is terrible, but, like, the most frustrating thing is when, a business owner takes the advice of, like, their veterinarian's nephew
Well, exactly.
or, my cousin says that we shouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, you should just hire your cousin. You should."
Right. Well, and it happens a lot as we know, in marketing, because we all feel like we have an opinion in it because we're all exposed to the messages all the time. But, here's the interesting thing. I've grown up my entire life with homes with indoor plumbing does not make me a plumber.
No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Miraculous. So to me, the part that I really loved with Home Depot was this audacity of, okay, how do we make it look big? How do we make it look
Yeah.
real? And even that first flash sale being kind of this weird thing because it was fireplace accessories in the South in the summer. Even though we're not big fans of flash sales, they saw something that worked and replicated it. And it
Mhm.
worked for a period of time, but then we're still willing to pivot off of that and sort of go, okay, you know what? There is limitations to that. Let's pivot off of that and do this thing. And not everybody can be successful being low price. You can be successful being low price when you are giving a depot feeling. Because let's face it, you go in there,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stores are
yeah,
bare bones, they're buying in high volume. You can win at that game when you do it that way.
yeah. It could have been that the fireplace accessories is when Walton first noticed them, right? I mean, if I was writing this
Maybe.
legend, because that's really the tactic that he used. That's kind of what got started, with his story is,
That's
right,
his
buying, "Oh,
origin as well.
there were a
Yes.
whole bunch of lawnmowers, I could get them real cheap," and, the staff was like, "Okay, so we're gonna store them till next summer because this is the end of the summer, right?" Somebody else was
Yeah.
overstocked, and he's like, "No, we're gonna line them all up by the road and put a low price on them,
Yeah, and just move them.
right? We just move them out, just blow them out.
Yeah.
It's not a lawnmower sale, it's lawnmowers cost this much right here, right
Yeah.
now, and there they are, and that's all
Right.
there are."
So that's a great observation. So their origin is very similar to his, except he didn't make it a flash sale. He just sold them at a low price. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, "Yeah, no, I got these lawnmowers, here's what they cost," and there they are. There's that many of them. So
That's probably where it came from. I hadn't connected those dots. That's a great observation,
I mean,
Dave.
that's just part of the same DNA.
It
I love the
is.
story of Home Depot. I wish I could, drive over there right now and get a smoked sausage, but alas, that ship has sailed, my friend.
Yeah, well, they still got hot dogs at Costco, so there's still hope.
Oh, there is that. Alright, I'll go to Costco instead. Thank you, Stephen.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please share us, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and leave us a big fat juicy 5-star rating and review at Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to schedule your own 90-minute empire building session, you can do it at empirebuildingprogram.com.